Hey YouTube, random here. Gotta work on the Jeep Grand Cherokee again. It's a 2014. This thing's a money pit, so buyer beware of these if you're getting one that's used. But today I've got to do the backup camera. It's not looking too good anymore. It's real fuzzy, blurry, can barely make out anything in there. I thought it was just from the winter and all the salt that's on it, but it is internal in the camera, so we're going to replace it today. We're going to get right to it, show you how easy it actually is and how quick and the minimal tools you're going to need. So let's look at the tools that we're going to need real quickly. So we've just got a cheap pick set here from probably Harbor Freight, some needle nose vice grips, and I'll show you where we're going to need those at. Definitely going to need some trim removal tools. Both of these sets are from Harbor Freight as well. They're cheap, they're affordable. You might need a small flathead. You're definitely going to need a Phillips screwdriver. I love the Klein 1101, it does wonders. A socket or a drill. I'm just going to be using a drill, 10 millimeter and an extension. I do recommend maybe one of these little swivel adapters. Once again, Harbor Freight, cheap. And then we've got our camera here. Caffeine is optional. I need it though. So we're gonna get started by removing, sorry for my hands in the way. I'm gonna try to do all this in one shot, no editing, nothing like that. We're gonna start with removing the inner trim first. So we're gonna grab one of our trim removal tools here. Try a plastic one. And we're just gonna start to get into an edge here. You've got plastic clips that are gonna go all the way around here, retaining clips. Once you start to get it going, you can start getting your hand in there and start kind of popping it down. And I do apologize for any wind. It's windy out here in Cleveland today. It's the end of February. Let's get a better one in there. There we go. All right, now, before you start getting too crazy and ripping this thing down, we do have two lights that are in here and the wires are connected. One of mine, though, is missing the bulb, so it's just gonna fall and I'll have to disconnect the wires, and we'll go over what the little clips look like on there, and that's where having a little pick set is really gonna come in handy. So just working it around the edge here and it starts to drop down pretty easily. I think my whole one is gonna want to drop here. So let's grab a pick. Let's show you what we're looking at here. Sorry for the pick in the camera. So we've got a little clip here that we're gonna try to remove. Try to show you the back end of this, but right on this edge right here, we're gonna pry this up right here, being careful that we don't break it. I broke the other side, just so you know. So we're gonna try to do this, prying that off and pulling this out. A little chilly out here, and that's why I'm wearing the gloves, but this, oh, there we go. I was gonna say it might be hindering me on that. Like I said, my other one is broken and I broke the clip. I actually already did this the other day, and so we're just gonna take this piece, throw it in the back. So I actually did this the other day with this camera I'm about to put in. And the reason why I'm doing it again is because when I put the camera in, I didn't have the guidelines that the Jeep would normally display. And I was like, well, if it's supposed to have the guidelines, I want to have the guidelines. So I bought this thing off of Amazon, went to return it, and they're like, all right, we're going to give you your refund. Just keep the camera. All right, so I guess I'm just going to use this for now until I get a better one that will give me the guidelines. So All right, now that we've got that done, the next steps we're gonna do are, we've got some wires that we need to disconnect because we are going to be removing our inner tail lights. The camera is attached to this whole white piece here that says Jeep on it. So in order to get this whole white piece off, we're gonna have to remove our inner tail lights. Very easy. We've got just 2 wire connections as well as 10 millimeter nuts. So our wire connections are, we've got one right here, and we've got this one here, and then we've got this 10 millimeter, this 10 millimeter, as well as this 10 millimeter, and this black 10 millimeter right here. To get the clips off, or our wire connections, sorry, we're going to, for this bigger one right here, we're just gonna squeeze on this top part right here and pull. There's one. Here's where we're gonna need that pick again. This red part here, we're gonna pick it from this side. This red part's gonna drop down, and then there's gonna be an inside black part you're gonna squeeze and pull off. And that's done. I'm gonna repeat the steps on the same side, or the other side. So sorry, I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm not a mechanic either. So if I call things the wrong name, it's because I'm just a regular guy who's trying to save money. You know, and I know there's a lot of me out there. All trying to do the same thing. We're trying to save money, especially in today's world. You know, so if I know there's a lot of videos on this out there too. This is that 10 millimeter I was saying. Like I was saying though, there's a lot of people like me out there. We're all trying to save money. It's rough these days, especially you got a family. You know, I've got some kids. You know, anywhere I can save money, I'm gonna do it. Same setup on the other side with the 10 millimeters. Now there is going to be a step that I'm skipping because I found out the other day when I was doing this that I'm missing some retaining clips, but I'm going to show you where they're at anyway. To get these lights out, we're going to go ahead and just kind of push up and get it out of there. You might need to use a trim tool on the edge of the light, kind of right in here. Just be careful not to scratch up your paint. Not too worried about my car. Like I said, it's 12 years old. This thing's beat up, but it still gets the job done. So just pushing it up, take it out, put it off to the side. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side here. Give a little push up, maybe you have to hit it a little bit, kind of work the bolt part out around the holes here a little bit, but with just little force, not hard force, but a little bit of force, you get them out. All right, we have a wire connector that we're going to have to take off. That is right up in here. That's what's going to go to our camera. So we've got this guy right here. We're going to squeeze in with our thumb right on that tab, start to work it, comes right out. And the clips I was talking about for the tail light, there's the inner black part right underneath the red that you got to squeeze to pull that out after you've popped those up. So the part that I don't need to do that I found out the other day is you've got a retaining clip right here underneath the white edge, and on the other side there's another one that comes down, which would normally be right there. and you need to get that out to be able to get this piece off. But obviously I found out the other day, I don't have that. Same on the other side, I'm missing it. So I'm skipping that step. These ones from this angle, sorry for the sun. I didn't think this out too well. Let's go to this side, a little bit easier to see. So these clips are kind of a two-part, which you're gonna wanna use a pick for as well. You start to get it out, and then you got a part that it's going into. They break easily. There's kits at, again, Harbor Freight for retaining clips that you can go buy. They're pretty affordable. But you start to work that out real easy, real gentle. Once you start to pull out the top part, you can get your removal trim tools and get the rest of it out. So next, I got to work on getting the white piece off. So we've got 8, I'm really bad at this, 8 10mm nuts that we're going to get off. So I'm going to turn this around. We're going to look from the inside here and find all 8. So starting at the edge here, we've got 1, where's number 2, 3, and then 4. And it's going to mirror the other side. 1, 2, 3, and there's 4. We'll put the camera down, get those out. Also too, this is kind of where it helps to have the swivel adapter, just to kind of make sure you got the right angle, getting those out. Drop that one, we'll have to get that out of there. Where'd it go? Lucky, lucky. You know, there's other videos out there too of how to get this done. They probably explain stuff better than I do, maybe. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. I'm just not scared of trying to get into some of this. You know, I've just learned over the years, collected some tools and got a little bit more confident in doing it. Now, one of the next steps is going to be with the needle nose vice grips. There is a squeezable clamp on the back side. That's the only thing that's holding in now that white piece. I just took those bolts off, or nuts. There's a squeezable clamp, and I'll show you here. And in another video I saw, they said, oh, it's hard to get pliers in there and pull it off. You could use a 7mm socket to put it on there and squeeze that part. For the life of me, I couldn't get a 7mm on there. An 8mm was cutting it. Sorry, caffeine break. So what I found was I used my needle nose vice grips to squeeze on it, and then slowly brought this down and was able to pull that white piece off. The needle nose, eventually they're gonna fall off, you know, once you get it so far. So we're gonna grab them, show you what I'm talking about. So right in there, it is an awkward angle, but with the needle nose, you kind of come in at an angle here, have it set to the right way, squeeze and let it lock on there. Hopefully it'll stay. And I'm gonna start to pull this down and start to pull that out. I just realized, because I'm using I didn't know you could use the earbuds as a mic. I don't have a mic. I'm not a professional. But I forget how much it picks up. So I am drinking a carbonated beverage. So if I catch a couple burps, I apologize. Like I said, just a regular old guy. All right, so with that on, let's try this again. Let me tighten these just a hair. All right. You might need to use a trim tool to start getting that white piece to come off. Obviously on the outside, I would say use the plastic ones versus the metal. You don't want to scratch it up. Mine should be kind of loose since I just did this the other day. There we go. All right. Close this gently because we do have, I don't know if you remember, that white wire connector that we took apart. That is coming out right here. It does have this rubber grommet. We're just going to go ahead and start to work this rubber grommet out. There is a top and bottom kind of a clamp that's on it. If you just kind of work it and force it and just start going back and forth, just doing whatever you got to do, it's going to come out. After this, make sure you're sporting this. You don't want to tear these wires up. We're going to pull that wire connector out. Bring this back up. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So on the top, same on the bottom here. It just kind of has just kind of a part to keep it held into place. All right, so from here, now we can get to our camera. I can do this. We've got 2 Phillips screws and a connector right here that we're gonna have to be very careful to pop up. We're using our, again, our pick set to try to get in there. And I'll move the camera over to this a little bit closer inside of there, show you what I'm gonna do. Some other videos we're talking about taking this clamp out, or this kind of this piece right here, this bracket, pull it out to give you more wiggle room. What I'm finding out to be easier is go ahead and do your 2 Phillips screws, and then you can bring this whole thing up and then get in there. All right, so I'm just gonna take off those 2 Phillips screws real quickly. And make sure when you're taking all these nuts off, screws, you're putting them in a visible spot where, you know, not gonna accidentally knock them or lose them or something like that, you know. When I'm taking off things as well, how we had the 8 that hold that in there, and it was like 4 and 4, and the tail light had 4 and 4. I like to keep them to the side that they came from. That's just me. All right, so let's see if we can do this together. All right. So, like I said, all I did was I took these 2 screws out, and now I can lift this right out, and I've got good wiggle room here. And so what we need to do now is we need to get that connector off. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna gently get our pick inside of this edge here, because you just have the black inside part is part of the camera right here. So we need to gently lift this up and then pull this guy out. And I'm gonna do that because I'm gonna need 2 hands. Just like that, nothing broken. So I've got our old camera here. It's just this little guy. This is obviously the Chrysler brand one that came with it. I don't know how well you can see, but it's just, like I said, 12 years old. There's other videos out there about how to polish the lens and it makes it all better and all this other stuff. And I'm like, it's probably just due to be replaced. You know, you're just kind of putting a Band-Aid on a bleeding wound at that point. So, new camera that came in wonderful boxing from Amazon here. One thing I did notice though, that the lenses look differently on this one. Let's see if I can show you guys. Let's do it over here. Oh, by the way, these have a cap on them. If you're like, what the hell? Pop it off. So let's do a comparison here of the lenses. The whole housing unit's the same, but just you see the difference. This one's kind of bigger here, whereas this one's smaller. And I didn't realize I left this zoomed in the whole time. My bad if I was getting all in your face. I'm not going to know it until I review this video later. Like I said, I don't want to do any edits. I don't want to any of that crap. I just want to show you how quick and easy this can go. All right, so old one off to the side. We're going to start to reverse our steps of putting it in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and connect this back in, and then I'm going to do the 2 Phillips and zip it in. All right, camera's back in, it's clipped in, and the 2 screws are in. So now we got to start taking this white piece and putting it back on, feeding our wires through that we had taken off. By the way, if you're going to put your hand in either one of these using this, be careful. It's kind of sharp. It's not crazy, but just be careful. So we're going to feed our wires in. And then that rubber grommet that we took off, we're just going to kind of shove it right back into place here. It's going to click in, just like that. And now with this in, we're going to line up all of our pieces here. And we're going to shove it back in, and it should hold in place with that squeezable clamp that we used the needle nose for. Just like that. Caffeine break while that takes forever. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get our white connector popped right back in. You'll hear a nice little snap in. We need to get our 8 10 millimeters back into place. And these don't have to be torqued down or any, you know, just nice and easy. If you're using an impact like I am, I was going real gentle with it. And I know it's Ryobi, lay off. Milwaukee's too expensive, but I love Milwaukee. Anyway, you give it a, you know, just a little bit. Maybe 1, that's it. And you don't have to do any particular pattern on this or anything like that. Just get them in, make sure everything's secure. And if you're not, that sucks. And if you're not using a drill, I know you didn't go far. Which one did I just do? Well, that's stupid. I might have to get that later. Oh, my hands don't fit. There it is. If you're going to use just a regular ratchet and not a drill, Like I said before, definitely have an extension. Some of these are a little bit deeper in there. You know, so. All right, that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Like I said, I'm not a mechanic. I do work with some tools for my regular job, which I do fire protection. So if I'm doing something and you're a mechanic and you're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Well, I'm not a mechanic. All right, so those 4 are in. We're gonna go ahead and get our taillights back in. And yeah, my car is dirty and salty. I live in Cleveland, or the Cleveland area. And it's a pretty bad winter this year. All right. A lot of salt was used. A lot of pipes broke, not in my house, but in the area. All right. That's in. Let's go ahead and get our, excuse me, 4 10 millimeter nuts back onto those screws. All right, after that, we're gonna reconnect our taillights. We had the 2 connectors here. So the one with the red, we're gonna push it in, you're gonna hear the click, and then push that red up back in. The other one was just simply, just push it right in, and you'll hear the click as well. There's that. Red in, click. All right, all that's left is now to get our trim piece back on, which this is a little bit difficult with, you know, connecting the lights and making sure that it's not dangling too much from the wires, but it's kind of inevitable, and it's gonna happen. Get some of these tools back out of the way. All right, so we do have this big piece here in the middle. Which way is this going? Okay. That was fighting me the most probably the other day. So if you line that one up for, well, actually we're gonna have to connect our lights first. So I lied. So I'm gonna rest this side down. See if this will reach. Click that back in. I really don't want to hang it, and I don't recommend hanging it, but I mean, you just kind of don't have a choice. All right, that's in. Like I said, this one's just, it's broken. I'm trying to find a new light on the sites that I like to use between Parts Geek or Rock Auto. So, all right, that's in. Go ahead and line up this center one here. Once you start kind of lining some of them up, you just got to give it a good hit, start putting it right back in. Just go around the edge. Make sure you don't see any gaps like I got right here. There we go. You're done. Obviously, next steps, turn the car on, pop in reverse, see how it looks. Like I said, I did this the other day. Wasn't happy with the camera, but since I don't have to return it, I might as well just use it for now. So hopefully this helps you out, or you're like me, you just want to just do things yourself as much as you can, save some money. So yeah, see you guys on the next video.